To be completely honest with you, I wasn't listening to a thing you just said.
My leg looks like Picasso. see, God damn it. Have you?
I think you know the answer.
You. Oh my God. This man, he needs to be studied in a lab.
I can explain everything.
No, he can't.
I can explain.
There is no shot.
The Lakers.
I'm not going to let you choose the Lakers.
Damn
Pick
it.
something else. We made such a mess. I am a casual.
We are mega casuals. Hi. Yeah, you guys basically know at this point where if it's just the intro, then it's just going to be me. But if you get not the intro to start, it's probably going to be me and Zach. No Zach this week. He'll be back next week. Like we always say, life comes first. And until, for some reason, if this podcast can ever be the reason we can, create our lives, then our lives will always come first. But he'll be back next week, don't worry. So, honestly, this is where we are in a spot right now where it's kind of like a dead zone for NFL media and NFL speculation because we're far enough removed from the Super Bowl where we can't talk about the offseason anymore, but we're also not close enough to the draft where we can really have fun with it. But luckily, last weekend was the NFL Combine out in Indianapolis. So we do some stuff to talk about that. So we're going to be talking about winners and losers from that. And then another thing that came out that I'm going to talk about is the NFLPA team grades. The report cards came out, and we'll be reacting to some of those report cards as well because there were a lot of storylines that came from that. And also, just it is kind of interesting to see how players react to everything might seem great about one team, and then you get the player report card back, and once everything's filled out, anonymously, because, when you're in a press conference, you can say, yeah, love this team. Oh, no, this team is great for me. They gave me everything I need. Everything's perfect about this place. But then the second it becomes anonymous, it can be different. Also, am I nuts, or is the tripod slanted? I am looking at it right now, and it looks like I swear, it's not. It's not slanted. It looks like...
I'm not sure I understand.
I wasn't talking to you. It looks slanted. Okay, whatever. We'll go on. But do I want to talk about the NFLPA first? No, we're going to talk about the Combine first because I actually just got done watching some of the tape from the Combine. It was really interesting to watch this year because the top four, arguably, if a trade happens... The top four picks, if a trade happens, are going to be quarterbacks. I mean, hell, it might even be five. But, we know essentially who's going to be one, most likely who's going to be two. And then, 3, 4, and 5 are all up for debate for, which quarterbacks go in what order. So, there wasn't – and none of them really did anything at the Combine because they knew they were going to be taking a high spot. And you don't want to hurt your draft case. I mean, yeah, you can help it, but it's not going to be significant enough, especially when you have Caleb and Drake May there at the top. But so we got to see a lot of other guys, ball out, whether it was quarterbacks, wide receivers, which the wide receiver class this year, if there is a time to just have a draft pick in general, you have to take a shot on one of the wide receivers from this class because there are way too many. It looks insanely deep. Last season, it looked like it was going to be one of the deeper classes. And then, going into, I would say December or January, it seemed like this wide receiver draft class was going to be very top heavy. And then you would just have average-ish players. But this wide receiver core looks really, really deep. This wide receiver class, not wide receiver core, looks really, really deep this year. So it would not surprise me if we see a 5th rounder, a 6th rounder, a 4th rounder ball out this year like Puka Nacua did last year. So yeah, I guess we're talking about the Combine. So NFL Combine winners and losers. I'll give a winner, and then I'll give a loser, and then I'll give a winner, and then I'll give a loser. I brought 3 winners, and I brought 3 losers. So for TikTok, we'll have part 1, part 2, and part 3. All right. NFL winner, NFL winner. NFL Combine winner number 1. That's going to be Braden Fiske. I am so sorry if I pronounced their names incorrectly. I didn't do enough deep diving research on this. Also, hold on. I'm losing my mind. It looks like it's slanted. I swear to God. We're just going to roll with this. Don't worry. The 6 people that'll see me do that, it'll really affect them. So my winner number 1 for the NFL Draft Combine is going to be Braden Fiske, defensive tackle coming out of Florida State. Well, for one, his Ross was really, really phenomenal. And I know a lot of people don't like Ross because it doesn't guarantee success. But when you get a defensive tackle testing well in Ross, like offensive line and defensive line, when they test well in Ross, it usually shows up pretty well. There was actually a really interesting stat that showed offensive linemen who was it the 3-cone drill? It was one of the drills where it's like if they were top in speed, they most likely were going to 1, avoid injury, and also 2, have the most games started, whether it be first round, second round, third round. It was throughout an entire draft. So you guys should definitely take a look at that. I can't remember who posted that. If it comes to me, I'll bring it up. But no, I do think Ross is very important for like a defensive lineman because it shows his speed and their versatility as opposed to just their strength. And the thing is, Ross does include strength as well. Sometimes when they test it. But the big things, though, that people were talking about was he placed first among all defensive tackles in 40-yard dash, 10-yard split, broad jump, and then he got third in vertical jump. And so, again, that just shows that he's an athletic freak. You put him on the defensive line. I think he's a guy who's probably going to be like a mid-second to early third-round pick who is now going to be a guaranteed second-round pick. And that's why I understand some of these guys don't opt out of the combine. Some of these guys really do when they test well at the combine. It's going to help their draft stock. And I think Braden Fiske is going to be one of those guys. Number 2, this one was all over social media, so no one's probably going to be surprised I say his name. It's Joe Milton, the quarterback out of Tennessee. Like, everybody saw the 70-yard bomb he threw, and that doesn't mean he's going to be a great NFL player, but what it does mean is he's a winner from the NFL Draft Combine because he has attention on him now, which means the team is going to take a flyer on him. And so there was potential that he could have been either the latest of round quarterbacks taken or even undrafted and then signed. And now he's for sure going to get drafted and most likely at higher than what he was expected to be. So, yeah, this isn't always me saying that they're going to be great and they're going to turn out to be phenomenal. Someone just yelled. It's just me saying that like they were able to win. Like they got something out of. You know what I mean. What are we doing here? I also love how I said I'm going to do winner, loser, and I just did 2 of my winners. So we're just going to get the third one out of the way now. And then my last winner is, again, I'm sorry if I say his name wrong. My last winner is Isaac Garendo, the running back out of Louisville. First of all, 9.98 Ross. What? That is the 5th highest Ross out of 1,765 running backs to have ever done it since 1987. His 40 time, you guys, was a 4.33. This dude also, but okay, imagine Devon Achane, but like not tiny. Like imagine that. So you get a speedster who's more durable, arguably, but also tested really well agility-wise. So this is a guy, again, this is very similar to Joe Milton, in my opinion, where he was, like, this is not a deep or even a heavy running back class at all. A lot of people would consider it one of the weakest we've had in a long time. And I think initially before the combine, a lot of people had a lot of these running backs going in the late 3rd to early 4th rounds. And I would not be surprised if a team takes a shot on Isaac in like the early 3rd round, because it's not the best market in the offseason, like free agency wise. There's Derrick Henry, and I guess you could maybe include like Tony Pollard in that. But like Josh Jacobs and Saquon, it looks like Saquon's either going to be a Texan or a Charger most likely, and Josh Jacobs came out and said he's willing to sign a 1-year deal with the Raiders. And then there's an aging Derrick Henry and a not what's the word for like not impressing? An a not as great Tony Pollard. So I think if you're one of those teams that is looking for a running back, like Tennessee, if I'm Tennessee, I know I just drafted Tajay Spears, but like if he's not the guy, why not take a shot in the 3rd round on Isaac Guerrero? I'm trying to think other teams. If the Giants lose, oh my God, if the Giants lose Saquon, taking a 3rd round shot on Isaac would be such a great idea, actually. So why not? Anyways, there's my winners and losers. No, there's my winners. What am I doing? There's my winners of the NFL Combine. Now, let's talk losers of the NFL Combine. Okay, just because I know people are going to freak out, this doesn't just have to be players from the Combine. Storylines come out at the Combine as well, okay? So there's that. Just because it's not a player from the Combine doesn't mean they weren't a winner or loser, okay? So, my first loser from the NFL Combine is Caleb Williams' reputation. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to be the first overall pick. I'm also not saying he doesn't deserve to be the first overall pick. Listen. What I'm saying is, you know how we get like MVP fatigue? Like if we're being honest, for like the last decade, LeBron arguably could have been the MVP, and same with Jordan in their years. But like you get the fatigue from voting for the same player over and over again, and so other people get it. Caleb Williams has now had 2 years of first overall pick fatigue, because if he went last year, well, he wouldn't have gone last year. But like since people have started talking about him last year up until now, people are now tired of talking about him, and now they're just trying to knock him down. It's something that we kind of always see, actually, though. Like, I remember going into this college season, a lot of people were like, you're going to hear things come out about Caleb Williams that seems like they're like poking at scraps, and you just have to ignore it heading into the draft. And that's exactly what's happening to Caleb Williams right now. Caleb Williams steps up to the podium and he goes, "Good morning, everybody." And the first pick is, "Why are you dodging shit?" Now, I'm not saying that like the criticisms aren't valid, because there were some valid points brought up, like denying medicals. But then if you're thinking about it, it's like, why do the Chiefs need Caleb Williams' medicals? Why do the Chargers? Why do the Ravens? Like, there is a realistic situation. He did come out and he was like, 32 teams don't need all my medicals, which is fair. That's totally fair. And so I'm not saying that like the player himself was a loser, but like his reputation, he kept getting tanked. You guys probably saw the tweet that went kind of viral, which was like comment section on JJ McCarthy versus comment section on Caleb Williams. Everyone's praising JJ McCarthy and everyone's bagging on Caleb Williams. So he's still going to be the first overall pick. He's still arguably, his talent is generational, but his rep has taken a bit of a hit ever since the Combine started. Thought I heard like a... Oh, it's my computer. I was like, what is that noise? My second loser from the NFL Combine, Justin Fields' trade value. Heading into the Combine, it was like the Steelers, the Falcons and the Raiders are in a bidding war, and it's looking like he could go for a second rounder. And then it was like, the Steelers are for sure going to give a second rounder. And then a day later, it was like DraftKings odds have Fields to the Falcons at minus 320. And then literally the next day, it was like Falcons are out on Justin Fields because they want Kirk Cousins. And it was like Raiders are also out, so Steelers are like competing with themselves. And then it was like Steelers love Kenny Pickett. So Justin Fields' trade value has gone from like a second to now like a high third plus like maybe other pieces. So that's weird to see. It's not weird to see. I just couldn't think of something to say there. It makes total sense, because if a team wasn't going to pull the trigger before the Combine, then his draft stock his trade stock was going to decline so fast, because it's not a secret what the Bears are doing with one. They're going to draft Caleb Williams. We all know that. And so teams are obviously going to see that and say, well, I'm not going to overpay for a quarterback that you want out anyways. But I will say, like, massive respect to Ryan Poles and the Bears, because they're trying to do right by Justin, which I think is perfect. Like, I completely respect that. And that's something where it's like, okay, even if they don't get what they wanted for Justin Fields, if you do right by a player, you show other players around the league, that shows other players around the league, how you're going to treat players, even up until the end, and it makes your location more desirable for other players. It's kind of like the opposite of what the Broncos did to Russell Wilson. So Justin Fields is still a Bear as of today. And if I had to guess, I don't know. I don't know. Because the Falcons could go for Kirk Cousins. But then there's also Russell Wilson out there. And I'm also old enough to remember 2 weeks ago when Russell Wilson going to the Steelers was a done deal. And then I'm also old enough to remember 4 days later, Justin Fields going to the Steelers was a done deal. And then I'm also old enough to remember a week ago when Kirk Cousins re-signing with the Vikings was a for sure thing. And so it's all a mess. And I don't think Russ will sign anywhere, and I don't think Kirk will sign anywhere until the Justin Fields thing. No, actually, that's not true. I wonder if Justin won't get dealt until Russell and Kirk sign. If I'm the Bears, I'm trying to trade him before, because if Kirk signs with, the Falcons and then Russell signs with the Raiders, then you really only have one option, and that is like Pittsburgh, or because you're not going to trade him in division to like Minnesota. That's really interesting. Ooh, for drama, I really hope that they sign before they trade him. Anyways, so yeah, there's my winners and losers of the combine. I'm not much of like a college football guy. I always watch like the top 25 teams and obviously the bowl games. And since I went to Utah, I've always followed Utah. And since my parents went to Pittsburgh and Penn State, I try to follow them as well. So I try to keep up on it, but like there's too many games, you guys. Are you telling me you watched UMass versus Tulane? I don't even know if they played, but you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. Like there's way too many games for me to know every single prospect. But if you guys do want to know some prospects, check out Parker Blake on Twitter. That's my homie, and he is that dude is going to be not only an NFL scout, but he has the intangibles and the knowledge of football to be an NFL GM one day, and I mean that completely. Also, Japes, very underrated with how good he is at scouting, but he will never give himself credit. But Parker actually has like a whole Twitter page where he breaks down stuff for the draft and also just breaks down stuff for players throughout the NFL season. So make sure you guys check him out. I have tea this time instead of soda because my throat always gets super dry. I figure this is probably way better. Now, the NFLPA report cards came out, and some stuff was interesting, to say the least. Did you guys hear that? Because I heard that. Now, I don't have... I'm going to pull it up, though. I was going to say I don't have every... Do you guys hear that? That's a clown. That's like a bike horn. I don't have every single report card up, but I'm going to put it up right now. But there were 4 things that stuck out to me. 5. No, 4. We'll say 4.5. Number 1. 2 of the... No, I'm not going to say 2 of the most recent... How do I want to phrase this? This is really difficult to say. Whatever. The Steelers and the Chiefs were both rated with some of the worst ownership, which is really funny because the Steelers, on one hand, are like, they're always above 500. They have a culture thing that's great because of ownership. And the Chiefs, obviously, within the last 7 years, have just been one of the best teams in the NFL consistently. So you look at that, and you're like, huh, but the players hate ownership. So it shows me, like, for Pittsburgh, for example, they got, I think, the 28th overall like grade, which is horrible. Their highest grade was their coach, which was an A. And so when people say Mike Tomlin is holding the Steelers together, holy shit, apparently it's true. That is insane. The best thing about the Steelers, one of the most recognizable football teams of all time, arguably the most successful football team of all time, you're telling me, I've been to that stadium. I could have told you it's an F. I'm sorry. Acrisure Stadium is so old and so gross. It is, you guys, it is. I've been in that locker room, not to flex. I've been in the Steelers locker room. It really is. You walk in and you're going to expect, like, this is an NFL locker room. It feels like a high school locker room. That's not a joke. The lockers are made of wood. This is a franchise with 6 Super Bowls, and you guys can't get a TV in the locker room? What are we doing here? So there's that. And then the Chiefs are very similar situation. I haven't been in the locker room, but I've seen pictures. You are the most successful franchise the last 5 years, and you can't give your players a better place to hang out. Have you seen Miami? A team that hasn't even done jack from shit in the last 5 years, but they're treating their players phenomenal. Have you seen Minnesota? A team that can't get anything done in the playoffs, but they're treating their players well. Like, your owner sucks ass. I'm not taking it. Listen, I'm not saying that the Steelers owner doesn't, all right? But like the Kansas City owner is just horrible as fuck. Another thing that stuck out to me, Miami is the number one market in the NFL right now. I think any player that sees that report card, every single player wants to go to Miami. Great coaching. The treatment of the players is phenomenal. Ownership is really beloved. And you're in Miami. Like, it would not surprise me if in the next 5 years Miami wins the Super Bowl or at least gets to the Super Bowl just because players want to go to Miami based off of how they treat their players and how their facilities are. That's a really big thing, too. I mean, I know there's the stereotype of like, oh, it's Miami. But, like, warm weather year-round, the ocean right next to you. When you're an NFL player, you can get a house with the ocean in view, all right? So I really do think Miami's going to be one of the most like underrated. Well, it shouldn't be underrated, but like it's going to be one of the most sought after markets by players in free agency. And clearly maybe like even players being held on to. Like it might be easier for players to re-sign there just because of how they're treated and how everything kind of goes on, both behind closed doors and what's the opposite of behind closed doors? In front of open doors? You guys know what I mean. I kind of already talked about this, but somehow Kansas City has room to improve. A team that's won 5 Super Bowls did not test well. Their head coach is loved. Nice. Oh, yeah. New England players hate their staff. It's actually crazy how bad. Hold on. Let's pull this report card up because that was one of the funniest things to me about the report card was how much New England players just don't like anything about their staff. New England Patriots F- treatment of families. That's crazy. F- treatment of families. C- locker room. C- training room. Connor, that's not the staff. Okay. Weight room. F. I guess that's not really the staff. But team travel. D. Owner. D+. Why did I... Was it just treatment of families that was that bad? Also, the Bengals. Holy shit. Treatment of families. F-. Food. F-. Nutritionist. F-. Locker room. D+. And then they love their staff and their coaches. But holy crap. Yeah, Pittsburgh's up here. Treatment of families, F-. Nutritionist, D. Locker room, F. Training room, D+. D. Team travel, F. Owner. This is... Okay, but Washington, F-. Treatment of families, D+ food. How does Washington have better food than Cincinnati? How does Washington have anything better than any of these teams? Okay, well, F- locker room and F- training room is crazy. Oh, F training staff. They got an A on strength coaches, though. Well, the Washington strength coaches are putting in work. Well, okay, so maybe the New England players don't hate their staff as much as I thought. Maybe it was last year. Because I think it was last year then, where it was like all their staff got like D's and F's. But that's all I really got for you guys this week. Kind of a short episode of the podcast, but there's not that much to talk about, and I don't want to force things to talk about, unless there's like reason to. I will say, Deontay Johnson just tweeted, he tweeted right before the before I hit record, but where is it? Hold on. It's such a typical like wide receiver tweet. He said, "It is what it is," with the shrug emoji. And then if I go into the quote retweets, I guess you're being traded. You gone? Who's trading for Devontae? Like, everybody, future Bears wide receiver Deontay Johnson, like, everybody is essentially just speculating that he is being traded. But also, like, Deontay has a history of just tweeting sweet nothingness in the offseason. Yeah, believe me, if I could force random things into this episode, I would, because it helps out the socials. But I'm not going to do that because you guys don't want to hear me ramble about incoherent bullshit for too long. So I think we're just going to cut the pot off here. I'll see you guys next week. Be sure to show love on socials. One day we will upload, or we will, upload, but we will also catch up the audio episodes to the video. I think we're like 15 episodes behind on podcasting platforms. I'll fix it when I get some more free time. But anyways, thank you guys for all of your love and support. I really do appreciate it. TikTok is almost at 10K. We're almost 10K. Get us 10K on TikTok, please. Because then we'll have 11,545 through all three of our socials. Yeah, I kind of need that. Actually, no. 11,577 because we have 1,022 on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to go put this together and upload it so we can go out on Monday. All right, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next week.